I want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for the hundreds of thousands of messages which my children and I have received over the past few weeks. The knowledge of the affection in which my husband was held by all of you has sustained me, and the warmth of these tributes is something I shall...
Because the Kennedys had embarked on constructing a myth, a shrine to the glory of the assassinated hero. This began with the building of a large library in Boston, as well as a project collecting memories, stories, and accounts, including Jackie's own account, which, at her request, was not to be divulged until 50 years after her death. Her desire to confide in someone was endless, but not reckless. She and Bobby preferred to manage the Kennedy legend themselves. They wanted to move on once and for all. She spoke to forget. The renowned historian and advisor to JFK, Arthur Schlesinger, took over responsibility for these conversations with Jackie. 7 times she invited him into the new home she had made in an upscale neighborhood of Washington. But the curious still flocked to her door. She felt constantly observed and under scrutiny. The recordings began on Monday, March 2nd, 1964. Jackie, while remaining discreet and timid, didn't hold back. Telling her own story was her route to freedom, a way of evacuating her tensions, expressing her passions, and of laying the foundations of the JFK myth.
I would like to say a few words about John Fitzgerald and look forward to retiring leave so strongly that one's aim should not just be the last visit. John, who was so intensely involved in life. He believed that one man can't do that. That is why I know that the library will be the best.
She returned to the very beginning. Right away, she contradicted the Kennedy clan's version of the legend that it was Joe, the eldest brother, who had been designated by their father to one day become president of the United States. This brother fell as a war hero, but he possessed neither Jack's stature, nor his talent, or his intelligence. No, her husband did not become president by default. She was a young, fashionable photo reporter in Washington. She sacrificed her ambition by making the choice to become the perfect wife of the young senator from Massachusetts. For the 2 years and 9 months of JFK's presidency, she kept her mouth shut, limiting herself to smiling. Now, she wanted to underline her role in Jack's nascent career. She told how she translated books from the French for him about the century's greatest men, and how she had organized dinners and receptions. She was no trophy wife and didn't like that expression. And he was no narcissistic playboy, although other men were jealous of his youth and good looks. She claimed for herself the role of confidant and assistant to the future president, but she certainly was neither his muse nor his inspiration. Between us, we talked politics the whole time. Jack's ambitions crumbled in 1956 after his failed candidacy as Vice President of the United States. A candidacy that Joe, his father, thought a waste of time, since it was lost from the start. Jack had thrown himself into it like a rabid dog. Jackie stood by his side. John would sleep in his hotel room alone, but she stressed that not a day went by when they didn't see each other. JFK's victory in the 1960 presidential election owed a lot to Jackie. Always at her husband's side, she shook thousands of hands, keeping a calm composure, an eternal smile on her face. She became a true campaign professional. Kennedy only just won the election against Nixon, his disgraceful and sick opponent, whose wife was too submissive in Jackie's eyes. His first interview session was rambling, a sort of test run. Jackie and Arthur Schlesinger arranged to meet the following day. Jackie recounted her everyday life in the wake of Jack's death. Furnishing her new home, the bills to pay, Caroline's schooling, and so on. Alone at night, she would smoke and drink, and no longer answered the phone. Caroline told her schoolteacher about the sadness that reigned in the household. The previous night, John had torn a page out of the newspaper showing a picture of his father's assassination in order not to hurt Mommy. During the second interview, Arthur Schlesinger questioned Jackie about the days that followed Jack's victory in the presidential election. The date was November 1960. It was the high point of their lives. Their son John was born shortly after the election, and it was an immense source joy. Jack came to see Jackie at the maternity ward 3 times a day. This almost made her forget the summer of 1956 when, 4 years earlier, she lost her daughter, Arabella, due to a premature birth. Upon hearing the news, Jack, who had been on vacation in the Mediterranean, reportedly told his brother, "The kid's dead, what do you want me to do?" Bobby had to convince him to get on the plane. She recalled the weeks preceding his inauguration as the new president, by far the dearest of the entire presidential episode. First off, their vacation in Florida, then the preparations for the festivities. The inauguration ceremony was held on January 20th, 1961. Both of them felt like children on Christmas Eve.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Jack wrote his own memorable speech. She knew this, she said, because he had recited excerpts to her in Florida. And yet, it was common knowledge that a loyal collaborator wrote Kennedy's speeches. Jackie was sorry she wasn't able to kiss her husband at the inauguration. She left in the middle of the party. The president's loyal friends were all present, Frank Sinatra, Peter Lawford. And she knew that neither of them was a model of good behavior. The party promised to be a wild affair. Jack came to see her in the middle of the night. She was still awake, overwhelmed with joy. They slept in the same bed. The years of the presidency made up her best memories.